So if we've got a simple timeline, but now, which I'll just call X because it depends how old you are. I'll just tell you all I'm 43. We'll put here as Y. That might be when I'm 60. And we'll put Z. So I'm going to hope that I'll be 100. Sadly, it comes to us all. We can't escape it. That's what happens there. Okay. When I was 25, I was probably earning that amount. Hopefully it's going to get to that one by the time I'm 60. We might call that our retirement age, and that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about pensions. Retirement is also kind of known as financial independence. That line there represents a line in the sand of that's when we're independent financially. And what that means in some senses, we have 4 aspects of money. Things that we owe, things that we own, we have money we earn, and we have money that we spend. So they are the only 4 things that you can do with money. And what we do as we progress through life is we hopefully pay off the loans. So mortgages have gone, loans have gone, stuff like that. We get to a point as well where we stop working, potentially, or we might take work, but we'll stop earning. And for every single person, eventually what you own will have to pay for what you spend. Really simple concept, but not too many people think about it. And that's effectively your pension is an asset, it's something you own. Eventually that's going to pay for your lifestyle and what you spend. So we have to have a pot of money here that's going to generate the income from there to there if we're no longer working. Now if our income's doing that, we'll tend to find that our expenses will do something like that. So we've got various people that will be listening to this. We've got people that I might refer to them as dinkies. Dinky is a dual income, no kids yet. It's a couple with no children yet, and they're probably the richest they're going to feel for quite some time. As soon as they have children and they get into this point here, they've got a greater level of expenses. This could be because they've got school fees. It could be because you've had to move from a 2-bedroom flat to a 3-bedroom house, so you've got a bigger mortgage. It could be that we build an extension on a house. There's all sorts of things that will impact experience of money here. I'm 43, so I'm probably here if that was 25. Funny thing actually, if you look at the happiness, generally speaking, of people in life, happiness looks something like that. You're all aware of midlife crisis.
Yeah.
And it's partly to do with the fact that if you look at how your cost of living and your income, it's the fact there's this squeezed bit in the middle here.
Okay. So the point where we all go out and buy a sports car is actually the point where we can least afford it.
This is probably right, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good news for everyone.
So we kind of have 2 distinct points in life where the amount that we can save is either side of this big expensive part in the middle. Now, so often people will say, I wish I'd saved more when I was younger, and they think about retirement when they get to this point here, okay? There are a lot of advantages of saving early. We're all aware of compound interest and compound growth. Einstein referred to it as the 8th wonder of the world. So those that understand it receive it, and those that don't pay for it. Okay, so it's just growth on growth, but there are other things as to why it's a good point in time to invest and save. The main one being risk. So the main thing that I find when I speak to people is that they don't take enough risk with how they've got their pension money invested. If you've got the best part of 40 years, if you're in your early 20s, and it might be 60, 65 till you can take the pot. So you can actually take the highs and the lows and the volatility that you would get with the stock market. But statistically, only 10% of people actually move out of the default fund that their employer puts them into in a workplace pension. So that's probably the first thing that if I could get everyone to take one action, it would be to review the investment funds that they're in, make the right choice obviously for you, but think about what your risk profile is. So people will also ask me, how much should I save into a pension? That's probably a question we're going to have later, right? Very often it comes down to how much of a drop in the standard of living do you want when you actually come to stop working. So if that's what we were earning, we've got to take it and accept the fact that we're going to earn less when we're in retirement. Now if I just use some nice round numbers and I say that this is £50,000 per year that somebody wants. Round numbers are great because they're easier for quick multiplications when I'm talking about stuff. But that is also what's recently been in the press as being a comfortable existence in retirement. £50,000 per year, you can have a couple of foreign holidays a year. You've probably got no mortgage at that point in time as well. So after tax, that level of income, if it's between 2 people, they're both basic rate taxpayers, it's actually quite a nice level of money to spend each month. You can buy more than the cost of coffee a day, put it that way. So how big that pot would have to be here to give that level of income If we consider the fact that there should be 2 state pensions, again I'm talking 2.4 children, white picket fence. We've got a couple here. They've got 2 full state pensions, well that's 20,000 roughly, 10,600 each of income from age 67 or 68, depending on your date of birth. So we're looking at about £30,000 from 68 on top of the state pension. It's actually a multiple of about 30 times as to how big that pot would need to get to give you that as a sustainable income, inflation link right the way through. So we're looking at about £900,000 as a pot size. So if that's the task in hand, you might have 40 years to achieve that. You might have 17 years if you're me to achieve that, right? So you've got to think about where you are on your journey and what the standard of life is that you want when you get to retirement.